that the same place you had the dog there? Is that where the dog jumped out?
Jumped out of where?
Jumped out of the second story window or something?
Oh, you know we have jumped on the second story.
I thought John was Cocker Spaniel.
I remember that. Yeah, you did. You had a dog out of a window.
Jumped out of the window.
Oh, no, wait. We lived on Zara Street.
Zara Street?
In Knoxville, where I was born.
Knoxville? Where's Knoxville?
I'll tell you, a long time ago.
Where's Knoxville? In
A
Pittsburgh?
suburb of Pittsburgh. That's where I was born on Bowsman.
Bosman Street.
Bowsman. That's where I was born. I was born on Bowsman Street.
Bosman Street.
Bowsman.
How do you spell that?
Faith, you're an echo.
Huh?
Faith's echoing you.
I don't care. I'll hit him in the nose. Bowsman Street was here, and there was a street up here was Knox Avenue, and off of Knox Avenue was Zara Street, see?
Okay.
And we had an apartment upstairs, Italian man, had a shoe store
Now,
downstairs.
were you married to Dad then?
Oh, who do you think I was living with?
No, I thought you lived with your family. You said.
No, I said that Ralph and I was born in Bosman Street, and then we moved over to Mount Washington, and Patty was born, and then we come back to Knoxville and had the other apartment, see? And it wasn't, I can't think what that dog's name was. So we, in one of the rooms up there, we had a room down below, and they put tin on the top and a railing, and I could hang my clothes out there, and the dog was up there. You know that darn dog jumped off the top of that porch, and he went down the basement.
Pajamas.
Yeah, was that it?
Well,
Anyway, I don't
If
know,
it
you
was
weren't
pajamas,
born.
that's where she got the timber,
Anyway,
right?
Cameron, it went down in the hole.
The pajamas
And I
had
went upstairs, no dog.
Cookie.
And I took her out, and she wasn't a thing wrong with her. She jumped,
We're
we
trying
told her, you know.
That's why we're going.
It was a little longer stay.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't know what it was.
Sorry.
What was your story?
I didn't think you. I didn't think my mother was Pennsylvania Dutch. She was born on
Decker, D-E-C-K-L-E-R? What was your first name?
They
And
sounded
what was her mother's name?
like
Oh, you got me. I did see my grandmother died.
You
when I was-
went down to the top.
No, my dad came over from Germany when he was 14. I
Well, your
did.
grandfather on your mother's side.
Why he wasn't there? I don't know where he was.
Oh, you never met him?
No, no.
Oh,
See,
okay.
Margaret, my older sister, met me, my mother's grandmother.
Where were they originally from now?
Who?
Your grandparents? Were they?
My mother
It sounds
was
like
born
that
in
dark.
Pennsylvania.
Jeanette.
Yes, she's Pennsylvania Dutch.
She's gonna dip her
And
off.
hey, I'm telling you, you should have, my dad is Pennsylvania Dutch, that's different languages. And you know my mother and dad. And my mother and dad was talking to each other. And you tell me how Pennsylvania Dutch can understand German and how a German can understand Pennsylvania Dutch. But they talked about what they had bought for us for Christmas. I
In
don't know
German?
how, huh?
In German.
Well, Dad talked German, Mother talked Pennsylvania Dutch, so tell me how they go together. But they do start talking, and my dad had very German children. He came over here when he was 14
When he was 14.
by himself.
What part of Germany was he from?
Bern,
Bern, Germany?
and he had a brother named John, and he had a sister that they called.
What do I do with this now? What am I going to
Where did he live? In the United States?
Yeah, his sister, yeah, oh, sure.
Where at in the United States?
I did.
No, wait, I can't think where it is. I can't tell you where it is, I didn't know her much, you know, because we didn't have an automobile to get to her, you know.
We don't have.
And she was older than my dad. My dad's name was
I
Conrad.
want you to come down and see it.
Conrad, C-O-N-R-E-D.
But we haven't had.
Oh, okay.
You know what
I
my
think
father
Conrad
now
Rich.
we got-
Conrad
We
Rich.
got all this.
Rich. R-E-T-S-D-A. A lot of people,
R-E-T?
S-D-A. A lot of people, you know what a rich is? W-R. You know? And my mother called him Cooney.
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 Oh, okay.
Short.
His name was Conrad.
Conrad.
Cooney.
That's a pretty name, too.
Yeah, it is.
Cooney?
His name was Conrad. My mother called him Cooney.
Yeah.
What do you call her?
Oh, Maggie. She got it. She didn't like it. She got it. Yeah.
And then she liked that name.
And my sister's still living. She's 84, and her name is Margaret.
Everybody called her Margaret.
They
Who was,
call.
Margaret was your oldest sister?
She's still
And
living.
who was next?
And then there's Dorothy,
Dorothy.
and then me,
Then?
then Juanita, and Naomi, the one that died from colon cancer in Alabama County.
There was
Why isn't there anything in there?
5 girls.
No, 6.
Do you want
Isn't it? Margaret,
something in
Dorothy,
Is
me,
it all in your cup?
Juanita,
No, I don't
Naomi,
have
Velma,
one.
that's 7.
See that?
But, oh, that Naomi went so fast.
I will clean up his
Week.
desk here.
Yeah,
You know,
Is this done?
Tom knows when we went down to the funeral.
yeah.
Mom,
Hey,
there's
she
something
was-
to drink.
She went downstairs with her husband, you know, to get in the car, and she passed out. And they couldn't get her to, and they took her to the hospital, and the doctor, you know, the doctor examined her, he said bone cancer, and you know that, because a man in Crestline, his name is, Pet, you know, Pet Miller. Oh, he had bone cancer, and he went through hell for about 2 years before he died.
Yeah, now, who did Naomi marry?
Naomi married Joe O'Donnell.
Joe O'Donnell, and he
Yeah.
lived in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, he
Now
worked
who-
at, he worked at Horns.
And Naomi's the one who died, Faith.
Yeah, She died in a week's time, and we went to see her,
2
and we
years
couldn't,
Hang on a minute.
we couldn't see her because she had turned yellow in a week's time.
They didn't have open casket.
No, and she was cremated.
Oh, okay. Now, the next sister down from Naomi was
It's Thelma.
Thelma.
Her husband died. Oh, was he
Who was he married to? She married to?
Cy Poole.
And they live in Pittsburgh?
He died with a heart attack.
She's still living, isn't she?
No, he
She
died.
is.
She's 60,
She's
64. She's a host.
where's she?
And she's all by herself now. All the kids got married, these kids up there. That's sort of Joe. You know, my big sister there. In Mount Lebanon.
Then there's Beatrice, and who did she marry?
No, I ain't bottom. I'm in the middle.
I said, then there's Beatrice.
Yeah.
You're number 3, right?
3 what? 3 husbands or 3?
No, third one down.
Yeah, Margaret, Dorothy, and me.
That's what I said. You're number 3. You married Charlie.
And then,
Where did you, Mom, where did you meet him?
well, this is funny. Across the street from us was an apartment house. Downstairs was a plumbing place. And I was laid off the telephone company during the Depression, you know. And I was sitting on the porch. My mother and dad had a wicker chair, rocking chairs with a nice white thing on, you know. Every night we'd go out on the porch. We were in the main street. But they passed our house, they were uptown, see. I was sitting on the porch, and the girl across the street lived on the porch. She was, she had polio, and she was the cashier of the Moody's house. And Chuck, I lived out on the street, and there was a road up, a road went up here, the streetcar came down, and went around, and right back where it started, see, and stopped in front of our house. And Chuck lived up here, and he came down and got Dorothy and helped her up the street, and he got to see the show for nothing. When she was done, he'd come home and take her out. So I'd seen him come down, you know, and she knew me. And she said, "Bee, come on over." Oh, I didn't know. I went over. And she introduced me to it, and that was it.
That's all there was to it.
Well, he knew what he wanted. That was it. You know where he
Did you
proposed?
know what you wanted?
Well, I must have. Hey, listen, you know where he proposed marriage to me? We have a place in Knoxville. It's called John P. Moore Bridge.
John P.
John P. Moore Bridge.
Morgan.
That he was a ambassador, you know. His daughter.
Was that a restaurant or something?
No, that was the bridge was dedicated to a man by the name of John P. Moore.
Oh, it was on the bridge.
Uh-huh. Oh, a big long one.
Yeah.
That's how he proposed to me.
Walking on the bridge.
Oh yeah. You know, holding hands, you know. You know what it
How
was?
many days, do you know?
3 weeks.
3
You
weeks.
knew in 3
Boy,
weeks.
he was quick.
Well, he was quick and so was I.
Odd number.
You know, those days, those days you didn't do like kids do now, you know. Live together, we just decided to get married.
Did your mom approve of that?
She didn't, no, I'll tell you why. She didn't want any of us girls because my older sister studied, you know. And she babied her instead of letting me get, because a lot of people
Were you
would
the
study.
first, were you the first one to get married?
No, Dorothy, the only one in my family that had to get married was Dorothy. But
And Dorothy was the
She's
first-
older. She was
She
older
was
now.
the oldest
Mhm.
or the second oldest?
No, second oldest. And the boy that she married, his dad had a grocery store next door, and he went to school with me. And he was younger than Dorothy. But the way it went, you know, and she got pregnant. And you know, that was funny. Her and I worked at the Horns. And they was asking for telephone operators, and her and I both signed up at the same time up there, and we had to go to school. You just don't go in, they tell you how to do it, you have to go to school to know how to do it, you know. I think we went about 6 weeks, and when depression comes, if there's two, they keep one for depression, you know. She
You
knew,
get two in the family?
yeah, in those days, you couldn't work like they do now, and when you're pregnant till after about, 8 months or something, you know, you get time off. No, when you were pregnant, you couldn't work, they didn't allow you to do that, see? So I can tell you the woman that talked to me, that took me off the thing, and that Dorothy knew she was pregnant, my mother didn't know, but I knew, see? And all she had to say, and I'll leave, let me hear, because I was youngest, see? She never opened her mouth, and she told me that I had to go because I was younger, I had to get a job. And about 2 months later, it came out and she was pregnant. Now, that was kind of selfish, you know, because I knew, you know, I wouldn't say nothing, you know. Anyway, her and Bill went down to, what's her name? West Virginia.
Down in where?
That's it, that's where they got married,
That's
and
where all
Mom,
those people go.
yeah, and Mom didn't know it. Oh, and I'm telling you, they come home, and my dad was not, my mother was Catholic, my dad was Lutheran. My dad was still a Lutheran when they got married. Anyhow, they come in, and Dorothy told my mother, she was pregnant, and they got married. Oh, boy, you don't know nothing about the English, or the Pennsylvania Dutch. You ain't married. And Dad was there. Oh, hell yeah, according to the law, they were married, but they weren't married.
Your mom did that?
My mother, oh my. And I thought, you know, I didn't know what it was. And you know what my mother wanted? She didn't want any of us to get married on account of Margaret. She wanted us all to stay there and take care of Margaret.
Is that right?
Yeah, it came out. I know all my sisters got it. That's what came out.
What kind of woman was your mom? She had a big temper?
Oh, no, she had red hair. She was a very pretty woman. She was tall like me. You know. She wasn't fat, you know, she was, you know, just nice. My dad used to play in the orchestra, my mother used to dance.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What did she do?
she danced. My
Oh,
mother,
I didn't know
my
that.
beautiful dancer. And, oh no, they ain't married, you know, because it wasn't Catholic church. And, so, you know, that's it.
Was she real strict with you girls?
Well, no, no, my dad was more strict than my mother. See, my dad wasn't Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
but we had to go to church Sunday morning. If we didn't go to church, no going out, and he wasn't Catholic, see?
You had to go to the Catholic church?
Oh, yeah. And I was not allowed out with a man until I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
That was it,
Probably
you
did that, right?
know. And anyway, they got an apartment, you know, and it was up there for a long. And his name is Ron.
Did they live up there by where your mom and dad?
No, they lived on, wait, what's the name of the street?
I mean, was it in Knoxville then?
Yeah, they had an apartment out there. And that's where they lived, you know. And it wasn't very long after, you know. My dad thought that my sister, you know, Bill should come, nice chair of pen, sit down, Dorothy, you know, she's pregnant. You know, that's what my dad thought. And Bill didn't think that, you know, just pregnant, you know. And it got, Mom favored Dorothy, you know, and it did.
How about Dad's family? How did Dad get to Knoxville? Wasn't he?
Well, Aunt Lou was the oldest. And Aunt Lou was the oldest, and your dad, you know, was the youngest, I hear. And Aunt Cass and Aunt Lou, he went out, no, I think.
What, was he born in Virginia?
No, he was born in Contanton, Pennsylvania.
Who lived in Virginia?
That's where he came from, his whole family. Yeah, Fawcett's all came from there. Didn't I show you that George Fawcett monument down there?
That's why I thought he came from Virginia.
His
No.
parents did.
Yeah, all his parents came
All
from
the
there.
family did, but he was the youngest. They lived in Contanton at that time, right?
Who? Yeah, Dad and Mom lived up in Contanton, see.
How come they went there?
I don't know. You know how people.
How'd they get to Ohio from there?
I don't know. But they have on those old Fords, you know, nothing on the windows, you know, winter time, well, you know.
Didn't Dad live with Aunt Lou?
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you. Anyway, they decided when he graduated, and then he went to a school, you know, like a college down there, because I know where it's at, I've seen it.
Heidelberg.
No,
That's
he
Mississippi.
He did play the Heidelberg, went to Heidelberg and played the band up there.
That's
how-
different.
Yeah.
He graduated from Catani
No,
High school.
High School.
no, he graduated in Tiffin School, Columbia. And then he went,
Oh, wait a minute. He went to high school in Tiffin?
yeah, they come from Catania. He was born in Catania, and then they went down to Tiffin. So they moved.
And he spent all his school days in Tiffin
Yeah.
with his
His mom
mother and father.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And then after he graduated from Tiffin, what did he do?
Well, I want to tell you, Cass and Lou, you know, he was the youngest, they decided to pay for him. It wasn't a college, you know, I don't know.
Heidelberg.
No, he went someplace else, and then,
Business school.
yeah, and then he went to, yeah, that was it. And then he went up and went to Heidelberg, that's how he met, Merle Hudson, you know, up there. And,
Dad met Merle Hudson?
oh, yeah, when he died, Merle came right to the funeral and everything else, that's how long I've known Merle Hudson. And anyway, he went up there to the band and know all the men up there, you know. He played the band up there at Heidelberg. His dad did. So,
What did Lou and Aunt Cass do that they could pay for?
I don't know, but he was the youngest son. And then there was nothing there for him to hold, so he
Was
came.
that during the Depression?
I don't remember, but he left Mom and Aunt Lou and Earl used to come see him, and they
Mhm.
picked Chuck up, and he went and lived with Aunt Lou.
In Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
They lived in Knoxville.
On Knox Avenue.
Oh, see.
They had one,
God, I didn't begin to have the stories straight.
yeah,
And
they
then
had,
his parents lived in Tiffin,
mm-hmm. Mom and Dad lived.
and that's how Howard got in Tiffin, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
and you know, they didn't know about Howard. You know, Howard lived right next door to Mom. You know, there was two houses. And the Howard started with Aunt Cass in the house next door. With Aunt Note. Now, you don't know it, but Aunt Note went with Howard. With Huey. She went with Huey. Mm-hmm.
You mean she dated him?
Oh, yeah. And I don't know how she met Howard. And he went, he was, yeah. You know,
Sounds like it.
Howard went into the Marines. And they couldn't understand how everybody in Marines got done. Oh, I can't think what, I don't know what it was, but he was a carrier. They found out that Howard carried the germ. He never had it. Took it all the Marines. Yeah. And he,
Oh, like smallpox or something?
it was some kind of contagious disease. I can't think what it
Are we
was.
talking about a social disease?
No, no. No, and I have
I
pictures
didn't know
someplace.
what she meant.
I know. There's a picture someplace of Howard in his Marine outfit. And do you have it, Penny? Do you have Howard in his uniform, and there's little Chuck.
No, I don't think I have it. I don't think I have it.
Mhm.
He had a disease,
Oh,
It wasn't a disease, it was contagious disease. I can't think what it was.
typhoid.
That's it.
Typhoid.
Typhoid?
Yeah.
Oh, no, mother.
Yeah.
No,
Tuberculosis.
typhoid.
No,
No, not
no.
typhoid. Typhoid is a terrible disease. I mean, people die.
Well, listen, your grandfather, my dad had typhoid fever, and he was saved.
No, there was in the 30s, there was a typhoid epidemic because
Yeah.
there was people back down in Kentucky that died and died. I
Well,
had,
they
That
took
our
my
uncle
dad to the
was
hospital.
responsible for because he was a carrier.
my uncle
Yeah.
passed away, he was only 18, 19.
I can't remember, but my dad lost his hair and everything else. I said it was lucky he even lived. I don't know how he got it, you know.
Maybe it was
A water or something he picked me
scarlet
up.
fever.
I don't know. Oh, I know. I'll
Typhoid back
ask,
then was not.
I'll ask Aunt Notepad, Pam. She'll know. But he was a carrier.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what they did?
Typhoid.
Drinking water mostly,
Yeah, that's where it come from.
yeah.
And,
Well, how could he?
He could pass it on, they probably drunk out of a dipper, out of a big bucket.
but you know, that's how he got out of the Marines. It made him go. You know, because he was a carrier. He never got it. He was somebody who took somebody else. And then he come home, and then Aunt Note was, you know, she's Indian, Aunt Note. Her name is Minoka.
Manoka?
Minoka, and I call her Nookie. Mm-hmm. And he met, you know, Howard, and they got married. Now, Howard had red hair, beautiful red hair. And you know, I'll never forget when your dad died. You remember, Penny? I was on the porch, I don't know where I was cutting his hair, on the porch, or John's, or who. And Aunt Note came down, and Howard. And they brought a ham down, you know, they always come down to see me, and Aunt Note was very, very sick. And she said to me out on the porch, and I understand, she said, if I die, I want you to marry Howard. Oh, take you right to Fawcett family. Yeah, she told me that. And it wasn't very long. Hard had heart trouble. You know, Hard had heart trouble, but it not only affected his heart, his mind was going.
I remember, I think I remember that better than.
Yeah, they put him in, they had to put Hard in a rest home.
Yeah, I remember.
Mhm.
And then there was, okay, there was Howard, and there was,
I'll see if you know.
Dewey.
No, start at the top.
I have no idea that, Layton?
George was the oldest.
George stuff.
George was the oldest, and Cass, Layton, Jim, and Jim died of heart trouble. And Ed, and Huey, and your dad. And then there's 2 girls.
Well, Aunt Lou was in there.
Who was the two girls?
And Cassie and Lou.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant other than.
Aunt Lou, you know, your dad
And
died.
Katie too.
Well, no, Katie was original. That dad went, your granddad went wild on there and had Katie.
She was a half sister to them.
Yeah, and,
It was his dad's daughter.
yeah,
Well,
they weren't married, hey, granddad was not married. And they, not
Randall,
now listen, granddad's mother took her in the family.
bring that back
you know.
in here, son. You have it here.
They call, you know,
Right?
John Harvey, you know, his mom took her in that time, and they raised her. Katie.
Sorry.
And now you want anything else?
No, I wanna know about George, what did he do?
Now George,
He's
he
in
lived,
Akron.
George lived in Akron.
Did you look in the phone book, see if there's any Fawcett at all?
No, I haven't.
no, I'll tell you, they went to Florida, and he only had one son, George Allen.
Did he go to Florida?
Yeah, he went right down with his mother and dad. And his dad worked over at O'Neill's, he painted, you know.
But Layton lived in Akron and he had a son.
No, he did not. He did not. Nobody knew that he was married, and when he died, we went down and married a woman. And Uncle Layton was an old man when he died.
How old was
Well, he was almost 60 years old, anywhere from 55 to 60 years old. That's how Layton, you know, got born, you know.
I thought he
Okay,
was
so
son to
there's
her.
George
She
and
said, I
Layton.
thought she said it was.
And then there was Aunt
Hmm?
Cass.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Aunt Lou was one of the older ones, wasn't she?
Yeah,
Is
Aunt
she
Lou.
older than Aunt Cass?
Aunt Lou was the oldest of all the family.
It was Aunt Lou first.
Mhm.
And then George, she was older than George?
No, Aunt Lou was the oldest.
Aunt Lou moved to
No.
Pittsburgh.
Well, now listen, I'm gonna tell you something you don't know. You know all those kids? She said, I put so many darn stinking diapers, I don't want no kids.
She didn't
Imagine
have-
all that.
She didn't have any kids then?
No, Aunt Lou.
She was the very oldest.
Mhm.
And then
George.
George.
Mhm.
Yeah, she married, who was, his name was George too.
Earl.
Earl, Uncle Earl, yeah.
It's really funny because every now and then Finn will get a chew, go to chew, you know? And I'll say, you smell just like my Uncle Earl.
Hey,
Because he smoked, you know, cigars and
No,
tobacco would just
no,
kill him.
Uncle Earl did not smoke cigars and chew tobacco. And
Oh,
you-
he chewed tobacco, that's right, yeah, he did.
And you know, we
Tobacco.
live with Aunt Lou.
And I could,
Uncle
you know,
Earl.
every now and then it would smell. You know,
Yeah.
just the same
You-
smell. And you know how sometimes you smell something,
Mm-hmm.
it brings a memory back to you. You know,
Yeah.
Why, you know, Uncle Earl liked to drink, that was his whole trouble. And Chuck and I lived upstairs. Uncle Earl take off, but you should see, how he clean out, he was on the ball. And he had a trust, you know what trust is? And one place uptown, he always went. And he was gone, and Aunt Lou knew all about it, you know. And Chuck and I was upstairs, and she said, Chuck, come down here. No, Chaz, come down here. We went down. You went and bring Earl home. So Chuck knew where it was, you know. He went up to the ring bar and get her. Of course, Chuck wasn't going to come home, or Earl wasn't going to come home, an old man, you know. So Chuck stayed with him until he was ready to come home. And that man was so drunk, I can see that yet, walking up Charles Street. You know, you didn't have a car, you know. About 4 or 5 streets, you know, Brownsville Road. And he come home, and he was so drunk. He had the trust in him. He had the trust in his hand. You know what Aunt Lou said? She said, Chuck, she said, you took my husband. I took him. He's drunk.
Blame it on Dan.
Huh?
Did she blame it on Dan?
Yeah, sure, she blamed it on. And
Dan was just young then, huh?
oh yeah, because we were married when we was 22, you know.
Oh, is that how old you were?
Yeah. I was 22 in July, and he was 22 in August. just about a month's difference. And poor old dad got blamed for it. And
Okay,
he had did it for a long time. And you know that Aunt Lou died very sudden, you know. And Aunt Lou and Aunt Cass had a friend there, you know, girlfriend. And when Aunt Lou died, and Cass, you know, was up there, she went after Uncle Earl. You know why? Uncle Earl had $75,000. And your sister, you know, Aunt Lou, Cat, you said half, you know, she said, you know, I'll give you some money. And she went right after Earl, and he had ulcers from drinking, and he had a spell. And I'm telling you, doctor ordered him, he'd have a drink every morning, every night when he come home, see. That was what killed him. And he got a spell, and they took him to the hospital, and he died on the operating table from bleeding ulcers. Guess who got the money? His new girlfriend, his new wife. $75,000.
He married her.
Yeah.
Okay, so who was after that? There was Uncle Layton.
No, wait.
There's your,
No, wait.
no, we
Aunt
already
Cass.
talked about. There's Aunt Cat, or
Lou.
there's Aunt Lou. and then-
George.
Then poor George.
And then let Cass.
Why do we call him poor George?
Well, I'll tell you that little story. When Aunt Lou, you know, he lived in
It's your
Akron.
ancestry.
You know, he lived in Akron, you know,
Yeah.
George lived in Akron. And, yeah, and Layton, you know,
Uncle
he was,
Layton.
yeah, he was never married, and he always gave George the paint to go up to Mom and keep the house, see, and George would go up and see Mom. Well, Aunt Lou didn't know that, see, and we didn't know it. But every time we go up to see Mom and Dad, you know, Dad, I don't know how old he was, and he cleaned in a factory, you know, cleaned the room, you know, that's what he was. And we'd take food up, and Mom would put it in the cupboard. And when old George come, the whole thing we gave Mom down to George. And that's where the poor George comes in. You know, we thought we were feeding Mom, but she was feeding George. Oh, my. Oh. And
Okay,
poor-
so after George, there
No,
was,
wait.
George
Cat.
lived like a.
Do you remember going
Did
in their
they-
house?
No, I remember somebody telling me that.
Oh,
his
dirty.
house- Dirty.
this
dirty,
was in Akron?
Dirty,
Yeah.
dirty.
Now, Layton had a nice place, you know.
Where do you?
It wasn't
He
George.
lived in Akron too?
Yeah, oh, yeah, he lived there.
Do you remember
I think
where?
yeah, for Goodrich.
He worked for Goodrich. He probably lived over there.
And you know, Layton was in the service, you know what they used Layton for? Put him down, you know, they had mustard gas, you know, in that ward. Put him, yeah, like a rat, put him down, see if it worked. And boy, I'm telling you, he was almost dead, you know. What do they call it, mustard gas, something, you know? Oh, Layton was a nice man.
Yeah, they use a lot of mustard gas.
Yeah, over there, that's what killed most of them.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's see, where are we? Cat, Aunt Lou, George, Cass, Layton.
Aunt Cass, now how, she married Bob.
You know, I'm gonna tell you, you know where Bob come from?
No.
You know what he was? He was a chicken picker.
Chicken picker.
Yeah. You know when you buy a chicken, you know, he pull the feathers off.
It was a
Chicken
plucker.
plucker.
Yeah, but he didn't want, hey,
Oh,
he didn't want nobody.
Oh, he did.
Oh, no. But all the faucets, nothing was wrong, everything, the Bob had
Well,
come.
they lived pretty good up there in Detroit.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
I said to her, you know, that's.
You know
good
what
for
Cass
chicken.
did? Cass was in Pittsburgh and she worked for the telephone company. And not, it was telephone office, you know, in the office.
Yeah.
I don't know where she was born. They had a nice home, oh, they had a beautiful home.
Found it in
Was
chicken.
he a chicken picker up in,
No, oh, no, he was way up.
way up in what?
Well, I don't know who he worked for, you know. He was an executive. I don't know if I got it, but he got it. Oh, and for all the faucets knew it. And you know, Mom had an outside toilet, you know, holes in it. When he had to go, he got in his car and went up to the hotel. He couldn't stand on that
I
thing.
can understand that.
Yeah.
I don't see a
And-
thing
and
wrong
no.
with that at all.
No, wait, I'm gonna tell you, he lived, but it was that kind of a hole. When I lived in Pittsburgh, we had a toilet. Think about me, I had to go out there when I was with Mom.
Okay, so after Layton,
There we go, Layton and then Jim.
oh,
And then Ed, you'll have to know about Ed, and then Yuri, and then Chuck. You know, Ed was he was every place. And when Patty was born, I had never seen Ed. He was little, and he had dark red hair. He was the most nicest man you ever met. Do you know what he did? he run all over the country. He was in China, and he told me there that he eat rats.
He what?
Eat rats over there. That's what he was. And we went up there when Patty was born.
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
what was it?
It was a rat eater.
No, well, you know people, what do they call them?
Chicken pickers and
You know,
rat
people who
eaters.
tear around, you know, they don't have a home state, you know, home place.
Gypsy?
Is it bum?
No, he wasn't.
Vagabond?
Yeah, something like that, you know, he didn't have a wife.
World-renowned traveler.
Yeah, that's right. And you know,
Call him
he,
a
China?
world-renowned, he's a
oh, he was
world-renowned
every
traveler.
place.
How did he get to
I
China?
don't know, he never told anybody. And I can't remember how old he was, but Patty, when Patty was born, we went up, you know, and he said, he didn't have any kids, and he said, who is that? And I said, that's Patty. And he said, I'd like to hold her, and I said, okay, I was gonna hand her. No, get a pillow. He didn't want to touch her, so I had to go and get a pillow and put Patty on the pillow so he could hold her. He didn't think his hand was good enough to hold Patty. And you know what
Who
he,
was that, Jim?
Jim, no,
No, that's-
Ed.
Ed.
And listen, this is funny.
What happened to Ed?
Now, I'm going to tell you. Let me see. It was when John was born. He, oh, gee, you're gonna like,
He lived in Tiffin?
no, he got into Columbus some way. And anyway, he was with an old lady. I don't know what the relationship was. And he was way ahead. I don't know how much insurance he got on the old lady, you know?
She passed away.
No, wait, wait a minute. That's what he figured, and she had a candy store down there, see? And I was pregnant with John. Now this is fun. I was pregnant with John, and Chuck and I went down to see them, and it was okay down there. And by the time John was born, at Crestline, John was born, and we got word that Ed had a heart attack, and he didn't die like that. Some of his heart would go, and he had heart attack, and then his heart just didn't, what do you call it?
Disintegrated?
Yes,
Deteriorated?
yeah, not all at one time. Oh, he was in agony. And the day that John was born, Grandpa, when he died, Grandpa and Grandma came down, and Granddaddy came in the hospital to see me. I didn't know what I was going to call John, see? And he'd come in, and he gave a watch to John. And I said, Granddaddy, you don't have any children with that, do you? And he said, no. I said, that's John Harvey Fawcett. So that's how you got named. That's how John was
Who
named.
was John Harvey Fawcett? Was that?
That's Granddaddy. His
That's-
name was John Harvey Fawcett, and I named John after his granddaddy.
Okay, all right.
See? So Chuck wanted to get down for the funeral.
Uh-huh.
And him and Mom and Dad went down to Columbus, and they insisted that they bring his body clear back to Tiffin. That is where he is up there in Tiffin, the cemetery with Mom and Pop. Get up and go. He didn't get no. You know, that's being greedy. You know, that's what he told Chuck. That's what he wanted. You know, I think he was about 80-some years old, and there he was. You know, and he died down there. Yeah, so you know you can't figure on yourself. Somebody upstairs is better than you are. You know?
Grandma and Grandpa are buried in Tiffin.
Oh, and you know
Yes.
huh?
Yes?
Oh yeah, both of them. And I'm telling you, you ought to see that. You don't have monuments. You have a bronze plate, you know, in bottom.
Where's that at?
Yeah, right. You know what? I don't know.
You know
You
the name of it?
yeah. Well, no, I can't think. I think you ought to. No, were you ever up in Tiffin?
I wouldn't know, but you might.
Well, you know that.
Was there with her?
Now listen, when we went up there last week to see Aunt No, she didn't know how to get where she was going to Fremont, see, and No said, I'll call her son. And he told Mabel how to get there, and he said, you have to get, now, when you know what Six's Corners is, Penny, you know it, don't you? You don't remember what I'm on? Well, they lived on Hayward Street. When you go to Tiffin, you turn right and go way down by the river, that's where they lived. You know, right by the river. That's where Grandma and Grandpa.
Oh, no, I don't know that.
That was called Hayward Street, see? And when Nathan told Mabel how to go, I heard Mabel say, Six's Corners. Oh, it hit me, you know. And I knew. The cemetery is here, and 53 goes that way, and another road goes that, and the cemetery is right in the middle, you know.
Oh, it's at a Y. right
Yeah,
off the
so
53?
they call it,
53 or 58?
it's 53, it's Fremont. Anyway, they call it Six's Corners because Six's Corners come all together there. And in the corner up here, where she passed to go on 53, was a grocery store. And Dad raised raspberries, and they were, like that, red raspberries. you know, he'd work at them and he'd get $500 a year.
Is that grandpa?
Yeah, grandpa. That's where he got the money, you know. And they'd send a crate back in boxes, you know, you put the raspberries and they come in. And I didn't know, I can't think what the grocer's name was. I didn't know what the grocer's gonna give the money or Aunt Lou was gonna come down and get jelly or whatever popped up there, you know. Because he gave it to Aunt Cass and Aunt Lou, you know. And he'd get about $500 a season, you know.
What about Jim?
Well, Jim lived in Willard, and he has one boy, Jimmy Earl.
Now, I seem to remember something about
Yeah.
Jimmy Earl.
And oh, listen,
You know that, isn't that the one that had all the beer in the refrigerator all the time?
no,
Who
no,
was that?
that was you know, it's a big thing. It'll come to me. Anyway, he worked at Willard, and I don't know whether he was an engineer or what he was on the railroad.
This is Jimmy.
Yeah, this is Jim, and he married Leanna, and she was a school teacher. And when I went to church the other day, you know Dr. Miller, the vet, you know his sister?
Yeah.
Well, his mother and dad, you know, all belonged to Presbyterian Church. And his sister was there, and she went to school with Leanna, you know? And I know Patty and I, where is that? Going to be Cyrus. There's a factory over there. Pat worked in it, you know, in the factory. And yeah, going to be Cyrus. Patty didn't work in the factory. She worked, she worked secretary out there. She worked at nighttime, you know. And somebody told her, you know, they had to take Jimmy Earl out of Willard because he got in trouble with a girl there, you know. They had to take Jimmy Earl. And they brought,
You mean you got a girl pregnant?
I don't know, but they had to move there. They had to move away from there.
From Willard.
Yeah. And so they came up right across the street for Pimpkins, and we found out where he was. I can remember, Tad and I went to see him, and she had died. Yeah, his mother, you know.
I think he got in trouble because he was bothering a little girl.
I don't know.
9-year-old girl.
Molesting. You know what they call molesting?
That's what he was doing.
Jimmy
And,
Earl.
Jimmy Earl, that's his son.
anyway, we went down there, and his mother had died, see, and he was down there. And all he had in that house, Tom, was guns. But I'm going to
All
tell
he
you.
had was what?
Guns. And you know, his dad,
You mean like rifles and?
yeah, that's what he had. Anyway, you know, his dad was the union leader. That's Jim. And they were talking, and it hit him hard, you know, an attack like
He had a
John.
heart attack?
Yeah.
In
So they
the
took,
union?
At a union meeting?
yeah, I don't know where it was.
Don't ever tell John that.
Yeah, no. Anyway, they sent him, he was in Columbus, and they put him in the hospital. And, you know, they didn't know how to take care of that, how you do now.
Yeah.
And they had him in there, and the nurse went in and went out, and she went out, and he was gone. That's how fast Jim died. And you know that we went down there. You will not believe this. That kid was only about 15 years old, and you know that kid wouldn't go to his dad's funeral. He was home washing the car that he got from his dad. I'm telling you, I didn't know whether your dad was going to beat the heck out of that kid or not. He wouldn't go to the funeral.
And they lived in the Cyrus?
No, they lived in Willard at that time, see. when
And then
Jim-
after that, he got in trouble with the
Yeah,
law.
and they had to move over, get away.
Move over to the Cyrus.
So when I went to church the other day, I asked her, you know, she's very, Margaret, you know, Miller, I asked her, because they were very good friends, her and Leanna. And we got talking about it, and I told her, I said, have you ever heard anything about, what's his name? Jimmy Earl. And she said, no, I wondered about it too. She said, well, I'm gonna check out and see where, you know, where he is. But I don't know where he is out there. I haven't checked out to see where he's going.
Want beer?
I haven't asked whether he's dead or living or what, you know. And that poor Jim, I'm telling you, his basement, you talk about all the kind of trains. He had all for Jimmy Earl. Any kind of train you want, the whole thing, you know.
And then there was, you told us about
That's Jim.
Ed.
And Ed, and
I
then
just made it.
Huey and Chuck. Every one of them died in car trouble.
What about you?
Well, Huey, you know, he married a girl, Mildred. Patty, I don't know, somebody told me that Penny, that they had to take a leg off, Aunt Liz told me, diabetes. And I told her, you had wrote to her, didn't you? And did you ever say any more to her? Hey, did you send a letter to her?
Whose leg did
Did
they?
I say any more to her?
Did you send anything card to her? I think it was a card or a letter you sent to Aunt and
Yeah.
Mary. Did you hear anything from her?
Yeah.
Lady?
Not the last couple of years, I don't think.
Yeah, well,
I
I
did
told-
for a long time.
Aunt no asked about it, because she went with, Huey. But Huey, they knew Huey had heart, and he went down to the doctor, and coming back from the bus, he died in the bus. Huey did.
In Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh.
Ah, see?
Yeah, that's where he was.
He worked at the hotel, some hotel.
Well, he worked, I was with Chuck, and Chuck decided we were gonna go in the hotel, we went to Huey's, and stayed there overnight,
Is this after you got married?
No, we were married quite a while. We were home, and I think we went down to Pittsburgh on the train. We'd never been in the hotel. We went in to see Huey, and Huey was a bellhop. That's what he used to do.
What hotel was it?
That wasn't the William Penn. I don't know which one it was.
Was it downtown Pittsburgh?
I
Yeah?
thought it was the William Penn.
No, William Penn is close to the telephone company. This was, on the other end. But that's where
I
he
always
worked.
thought it was William Penn.
He had a cute red jacket, bellhop jacket, He worked for the brass rail. I don't know why he left there. He liked bellhop, and then he wanted
Didn't Chuck work for the brass rail
to.
too?
He sure did. You know what he made when we got married? $13 a week.
Is that where he,
Where he was? Town.
is that where he worked when he met you?
Yeah, no. No, wait.
Was he going to school?
No, he was working the brass rail when I met your dad. And that, you know what it was? The most beautiful Italian man you ever saw. Tall, and he had white Palm Beach suit, and he stayed at the William Penn Hotel. And he had one of those old-fashioned straw hats, and he walked with a cane. I can't tell. He
What-
had
Who was he?
an Italian. I can't think what his name. He had
why are you talking about him?
he was the owner of the brass rail.
Oh, he's the owner of the brass rail. Oh.
Anyway, he had a man working for him, and Chuck was only on $13 a week. Now he had every place, the brass rails.
It was a
when
restaurant.
No, that's when hamburgers first come out, and they did have a brass rail in the front, and you could go in. They did have ham sandwiches, and I used to when we lived in up in Mount Washington. I'd go down the incline and walk across the Smithville Street Bridge to him. I'd go to Chuck. He was working the first one, and if the show put a sign in what's in the show, they leave passes. So I went in there, had my dinner. Chuck and I go down the show for nothing. Walk across the bridge, 5 cents up the incline, go home.
It was a restaurant then?
No, they didn't call it a restaurant. They didn't have mashed.
Hamburger?
Yeah, hamburgers, and they sold beer. See?
Oh.
Yeah. And anyway, we knew we were going to have a baby. And see, Patty was born at home. I don't know how many times Dr. Phillips had to come. And he come with a thing in his hand, and I went to work. Anyway, he said to me, we had Patch, and you remember Jean Sinceri? Oh, my God. I don't know how many times the water broke on me on Friday night, and she wasn't born. Patty wasn't born till 5 minutes to 6 on Monday. Dry as an old coop. And Jean knew we were going to have a baby. And just as she was born, the telephone rang, and Mrs. Wagner called up. She said, Chuck, somebody's on the phone. And Chuck went down, and Jean said, you get anything? And Chuck said, yeah. And he said, well, he said, girl. She said, okay, I'll make some spaghetti. They had a restaurant job. That's as much as he was in the restaurant. And you know that Italian man, I know he had like a streetcar from William Penn, in the incline. Him and his boss came up to see me in a 2-room place and see the baby. And you know what we said to Chuck? You are advanced from $13 to $30 a week. Because he was a man. And you know how he got into Crestline? I know his daughter, because they lived here. He was a passenger man on the railroad, Pennsylvania Railroad.
Who?
And I can't think what his name is. 2 of them came in there with their uniforms on, and Chuck always waited on
Into
them.
the brass rail?
Yeah, in Pittsburgh. And they told the Chuck, you can't raise a baby in what you got. He said, Chuck, come on the railroad. He was a conductor on the passenger train. And Chuck said, how do you do it? He said, well, you'll have to go up in Cleveland, and see if you can get in, and you'll have to work up there. So we was up with Grandma, put our furniture in storage, and we stayed with Grandma, and he come down on the train, you know, see
Tiffin,
it?
you mean?
Huh?
You stayed in Tiffin?
Yeah, with Grandma.
And he
Chuck-
went to Cleveland?
And he was up in Cleveland, see? And then when he knew what was doing, he asked for a transfer to Crestline.
How long was he up there?
Oh, I can't remember, but I know I got pregnant. I got
While
pregnant.
he was in Cleveland?
No, he came down. Now, how can he do it in Cleveland? Gee, you don't send that through the
I
mail.
don't know, Mom. You said it.
He
You know?
was working in Cleveland.
Yeah, and he come home, you know, see us
You
kids
come
come
home
home.
like on
That's probably
weekends
not
and things?
Yeah, sure, and 4th of July, I know that was.
You figured that out?
Hey, you know, and it was funny.
My husband,
Hey, you know, this was funny.
father of my 6 children.
Listen, you're all married. This was funny. He came in and he had to go get lunch, and Chuck grabbed the whole thing. Mom knew what, we went upstairs. And it was John. I got pregnant with John. Anyway, when he came down to Crestline, he had my car. We had the car with him. And we came into Crestline, and Chuck said, well, we're going to have to find a place. And we couldn't find a house, so we rented an apartment.
Where was it?
That was on West Bucyrus Street. That is tore up. That belonged to the Myers, and they have an apartment, you know, for middle-class people there. That's all tore up. And we stayed
You
in the
mean it's
apartment.
not there anymore?
No, they tore it down. There was 4 apartments, you know. And we stayed there. And then when Chuck knew he was on the railroad, we had the car, and we went for a ride. Just as we was going down Park Road, Mrs. Pegram put the sign in the window, house for rent. We had it. We went $35 a month. And we went,
Boulevard?
no, Park Road.
Park Road.
Mm-hmm.
Behind it.
Next,
Why did Mrs. Pegram put that sign on it?
because her house was, she married an old man, he was on the road, and her house was on Clint Boulevard. So she wanted to go back to her house. I don't know why they didn't, you know.
You mean she had that house first?
No, she rented it like we
She
did.
lived in that house?
Yeah, and she was gonna go back to her own home, and she put the sign up, and we saw her do it. We stopped, got the house, and we stayed there until John was born, you know. And then, you know Matt Flaherty, you know who the Flahertys are.
Mhm.
Before we knew it, we thought we'd like it. It was a beautiful home. We figured, you know, that we. And the man owned it, was an auxiliary policeman, and he went over our head because Matt was an engineer and he had a lot of kids. He didn't even ask your dad. He told us, you're going to have to get out, and it was in the middle of winter time. And he heard about Spencer's place there on Plain Boulevard. I've been there ever since.
Now, did you have that house built?
No, though the man, hey, you know, your dad was funny. That's Bus Painter, you know his house? There's a lot of houses like ours on the street. And that's Mary Louise's dad, you know. You know Mary Louise, that's married Bob LeSoeur, you know Bob LeSoeur.
Okay.
Anyway, her dad had those houses built for investment, you know. And we couldn't get like, what do they call it, land contract? You know what that is. If Chuck wasn't working.
Article of agreement.
Yeah, and if Chuck wasn't made rent, we'd go, and Chuck said, we can't do it, our kids, you know. You know what your dad did? Oh my. And Bus Painter was living the same way. Chuck went over to Gavin, and the man over there got the loan on our house. You know, we were buying it, see? He didn't want to sell it. It was an investment. And Bus Painter heard about what we had done. Anyway, the day we had done it, here comes the old man with the business to talk to us, they had the investment. Oh, you should have seen him go after Chuck, what we had done to him. He said, I built this house for investment. You took it away from me. I don't know how many people, you know, in and out, see? And we fooled him. You know, we bought the house. And Bus Painter, he didn't know that, 2 doors away from me. He said, holy heck, how'd you do that? And Chuck told him, I'm going to do the same thing. He did it, and he went up after Bus. So I've always been there.
He paid the loan off on the land contract, we financed it through another.
Yeah, and we were buying it, you know, buying it instead of land contract. But, oh, that's a heck of a thing to get into, Kate, you know. And there was a lot of people had to leave because they couldn't pay the rent.
Yeah, I was me too. As soon as
So-
I ate, all my energy went.
Yeah.
So that's how John was named.
Well, when I came back from the hospital, I sat down.
Because-
Did you miss one boy after the other? Who was after you?
Your dad.
Chuck was next.
Who married him?
I just told you, Melvin, he was never married. Mhm. She was in some kind of service, I don't know, that time. And she was a housekeeper in the hotels. They never had any children.
In Pittsburgh?
Mhm.
And that's that, John. You
Now you
heard
know,
about-
John.
Heard about the group.
Now, what you think?
Now,
Your
your let's see. John Fawcett's father, George Fawcett, raised horses.
Yeah, and you know what he
In
was?
Virginia.
No, wait a minute, you didn't tell him. He was a horse trader in the Civil War. That's what he did.
Was he a horse,
Harrisonburg, Virginia,
was
right?
he a
Harrison?
horse trader or horse thief?
No.
Did he steal
Listen,
horses off the
hey, in the
Confederates?
Civil War, they used horses.
Which, was it north or south that he
That he sold.
sold horses to?
He was in Harrisonburg, Virginia.
I know where he was. I
Well-
said, who did he sell them to?
He was working for the South. I don't know who sold it.
Confederacy.
Mhm.
He worked for the Confederacy.
I don't know who sold it to, whether they're, Confederacy or not.
Because Virginia was,
The- No, not Virginia,
And listen, anytime you go
which one
down
was
there,
split?
anytime,
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Well, Virginia was split then, and that's when it became West Virginia and
Listen.
Virginia.
do you
Was
know
it
that those
during the-
people down there
during
just
the Civil
say
War?
now that they didn't lose the war?
Yeah.
They did.
No, they
Mother.
say it. They didn't. I know they did.
Ask Bates, he's one of those people.
Yeah, I know they did. You're like them. They did lose, but they
But you
did.
know what he did, he married a Northern
Oh, that was bad. I'll tell you. That was bad.
Is that a murder?
No.
Oh.
Hey, now wait a minute. This isn't the Civil War.
Oh, yes, it
girl. Gonna
is.
be.
Maybe a new kind.
New kind of Civil War.
Penny, were you born when we went down and saw the old house? Were you born at that time? And we went down to see Aunt Kate. I think you were. Yes, I got your picture on where it was taken. Yes, you saw it.
Were you born, Penny?
You know the only thing Aunt Katie took us to it. You know the only thing was standing there. Oh, rocks. Rocks from the
yeah,
rocks
right
from
there.
the crypt. That's the
Yeah,
only thing.
yeah.
Standing. And they were going up, and Aunt Katie screamed, "She don't go near those rocks. Rattlesnakes down there. That's where they like to hole in. That everything else fell down. That's where.
Yeah,
Where
with the
Joe Stout
pictures.
is.
Mhm. That's where Dad was born. Granddad was born up there.
What was the
Log
name
house. Log house.
Yeah, but what was the name of it?
It wasn't Harrisonburg, little piece of all. You asked me how we got there. I don't know. You'd have to ask Aunt Katie. She's dead. I don't know how to get there. But I do. Did I send it to you, Penny? The George, Dad's brother, or I don't know who it was. George Fawcett,
Did you send me what, Mother?
the tombstone.
Picture of it?
Yeah.
Picture of it?
Yes, I have a picture.
Yeah, I did send it to Penny. Yeah, I sent it to
Oh, I think I've seen that someplace.
I had, on all those negatives that I got to download.
And there isn't anybody buried there. He's buried near the homestead, And it's a beautiful stone. It's a stone with a big ball on top of it. And you can see it, George Fawcett on it.
And that's at the homestead?
Yeah, that's what they used to do.
You mean they buried him right there?
Yeah.
Right there on his own land?
That's how you got the picture,
They buried him right on his own land? How about his wife?
I don't know.
What was
There
her name?
I don't know whether, there wasn't any monument, so I
What
don't,
was her name?
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
They never told
Mrs.
me.
West.
This is George Fawcett.
So that's how George was born.
Uncle, did grandfather Fawcett have any brothers?
I don't know whether he did or not, Granddad.
Where'd they come from?
Who?
Fawcett's.
Well, they are English. That's English. Fawcett's an English name.
Was it that generation that came over, or the
I
generation?
don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
your dad knew. Well, I'll tell you, Layton, or Tom, this country belonged to the Indians, Everybody told over here, everybody come over here, we're the other guys, This country does belong to the Indians, and I'm ashamed of what this country did to the Indians, because they're all up there in the reservation. They're in shame, I'll tell you.
They're all up there.
Well,
Minoki came and
Yeah.
Faith's grandmother came.
yeah, I know, but Penny.
What's her name?
Henrietta.
And
Henrietta.
you know what Indians like to do, they like to garden and everything, and so dry, oh, there's no, you know, nothing up there. Just ground. They're way down, those Indians. It's a darn shame, because this country belonged to them.
Well, there's a lot of Indian ancestry
Oh, yeah.
scattered out.
Well, now listen, you know Barb's family, there's Indians in their family. Mhm.
Yeah.
And those,
Well, I got relation, my great-grandmother was an Indian on my mother's side, and my great-grandmother on my father's side was Indian. So there's a lot of Indian in those families down there.
hey, you know, I know a woman in town, oh boy, is she German, and oh, she talks about, I come over when I was 20 years old and I couldn't speak English, and she went to New York. I said, no kidding, and she even tells me about the time she worked in a restaurant and she made salads. I know all kinds of salads she makes. She's about 84, 85 years old, she goes way back, and oh, she's telling all she did, you know. I said, hey lady, how old were you when you came over? She was 20. I said, my dad came over when he was 14. He couldn't speak English either. You know, 14. And that was harder than 20, you know? And she said, well, I'm United States, I'm a national citizen. I said, you ain't kidding. I think Dorothy has my dad, you know, natural citizen here. You know, you have,
His naturalization.
my dad, and I think Dorothy.
Dorothy has.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did he come over by himself?
Yeah.
Came on a ship by himself.
Mhm.
You know, that 12
And you know what she said?
14-year-old
Oh,
boy.
she said, I wasn't in the hole. She wasn't, I don't know where my dad was, you know. I don't know where she was either. She wasn't in the hole. Because people, the immigrants come over here, that's where they had to come from, you know. They didn't have the money. Oh, my. And you know
Well, then
what?
he came and lived with his sister, didn't he?
Yeah, Celia. And you know what?
Who's your dad?
Yeah, my dad has a sister named Celia. And you know, Penny, it's funny. She talks about, you know, the Cubans that came over here down in Miami, you know. They have no right here. I said, why not? And she said, well, and there's something else. What else they call those people that come over?
Vietnamese.
No, that ain't the word. I know what-
Salvador.
Huh? No, there's something else.
Nicaragua.
No, they're down there in Florida, you know, in Miami, all that.
Oh, Puerto
Miami.
Ricans.
Yes, And they had no right over here. I said, did you? I said, you know, you came from over there.
Puerto Rico is the United States possession.
Yeah.
Just has been
Yeah.
brought into the state.
I told her, I said, you know, none of us have any right to be here because this place belongs to the Indians, you know.
It's up to him.
And I told her, I said, an Indian's an Indian, but go around and ask some people. Some people are Polish, Italian, you know.
One big Duke's mixture.
Yeah, one big Christmas.
Well, that's interesting. Huh?
Now, Boyd that I married, he was Welsh.
Well, they
Mhm.
Danish.
He was Welsh.
Polanders.
And, you know, I laughed at Susie. She said, Mom, she said, have you ever been out at the Biddle Cemetery? I said, no, I've heard about that. She said, well, you know where it's at? And I said, no. She said, it's between Crestline and Leesville. And I said, don't tell me how it is because I know how to get there. So when they came this summer, she said, Mom, I'm going to take you out there. We went out to the cemetery, and you'll never believe it. Ralph is a Lochbaum. His mother's a Lochbaum, and Ralph Shearer is a Lochbaum. They're related. You know, those old-time monuments, you know, I don't know what they were made of. You know, they're white, just a thing. Every monument I looked at was Lochbaum and Walter. I can't tell you how many graves are Lochbaum and Walter. Lochbaum and Walter.
Oh, there at least one.
Yeah, I didn't know where it was. She said it was Biddle Cemetery is what they called it. I said, well, I don't know where it's at. And I'm telling you, I looked there. Huh? You know where it's at, Tom?
No, I think it's out there behind there.
It's back in there someplace. I didn't know how to get
It's
there.
out beyond there.
Did you ever hear of it, Tom?
Yeah, I think that.
But they called it Biddle Cemetery, you know, on account of those two families, you know. Biddle, Lochbaum and Lochbaums are every place around there. Every place.
I never heard of it.
And I did not know that boy that, you know, the airplane pilot. You know, I knew what his name was, you know, here, but I didn't know that. And I told Susie, because she didn't have the paper about
Are you
it.
sleeping?
And she said, Mom, she said, Mom, she said, that's
You can have
Dad's
that room, you
nephew,
already have.
you know.
You're falling off your chair.
And listen, Patty, you should have seen that in the paper.
Seen what?
This boy that's, he took care of the airplanes, you know, was a pilot. And he came down too quick, you know, and he hit a fence, and him and the co-pilot was burned to death in the front of the cockpit. And I'm
Just
telling,
recent.
oh, that's about a year.
In Detroit, the one in Detroit.
Yeah, and you know, Faith, I'm telling you, you should have seen how that man, he was so bad, how they run him down, but he didn't do. You know where he started? His dad was a missionary, and he was over Guam, they call it Guam. And that's what he was. He was one of those pilots, you know, over there.
Bush pilot.
Yeah, that's it. And you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna sell a house to go to Phoenix. They, she didn't even know they could have died. She was gonna go over and get him. Yeah. She went over there and told him. They said, don't you know Dee Dee? She didn't know. He said, your husband's still on the trail. Well, what do you want me to do, lay on the table or what?
Wherever you're comfortable, be.
Well, you always have all the kids there, I'll go to bed if you don't care.
You never know it.
Doesn't matter to him.
Well, listen, you, buddy, you're gonna lay on the outside, penny between you and me. Hey, you know.
Hold on, fun, Victor.
Hey, you know, Huey stayed with Chuck and I, before I had the baby, and we, in the kitchen, we
Good
had
night,
a,
guys. We'll see you in the morning. Get up whenever you.
good night, honey.
Well,
You know those,
that's Cindy.
I can't think, like studio couch,
Yeah.
in the kitchen, you know, and our bedroom in the other room, we had two rooms, see? And Huey didn't have no place to go, and Chuck said, well, come on with us, and he laid on the studio couch. We didn't have a studio couch, we had to go and buy it, and there he was, you know, and I looked at Chuck, and looked, he slept in bed with Chuck and I for about 3 nights. He had to sleep, you know. Huey laughed about that, oh, Huey laughed about that so many times.
You, Chuck, and Huey.
Yeah, me, Chuck, and Huey.
Well, that's happened.
Well, Chuck is in another Huey up here.
That's a good justify, see.
Yeah, I just want to be sure.
See what?
He's a Fawcett, I want to be sure it was the right one. Oh, my. Oh.
Oh, times were different back then. There wasn't so much emphasis put on a lot of stuff back then.
No, you know, now they speak right out.
Well,
I don't
they do
know
it in a
what's
way
good.
and in a way they don't be.
That, in a way, I don't know what's good or bad.
Windows open. Do you have a window open in here, Kenny?
Probably that wind coming in, Kenny.
We can feel cold air blowing here somewhere.
But,
Maybe from down.
now, you know, kids, they want to get married, but they want to try it first. Live together.
Buy a pair of shoes.
I don't know
Did you have a window open downstairs?
I
It
don't
even
think
looks
they-
kind of smoky down there in that family room.
Keep your mom talking there, Tom.
I'm gonna write a book on it.
We need to know all this stuff.
No, listen, Tom, I'm glad that you and Penny are, you know,
Well,
'cause
we'll see
listen.
you guys in the morning.
Okay.
Yes, babe, good night, sweetie.
Have a good night's sleep there, Tom.
Tom, I want something to know, because listen, where you come from, that's a heritage, you know, people ought to have a heritage.
sure.
And listen, this heritage you got, it's a very proud and fine heritage, you know what I mean? Yeah, now, I'm talking about Chuck, I'm talking about my own heritage too, you know? I had a good heritage. Don't ever be ashamed of that.
Okay.
And listen, there wasn't any in the Fawcett that had to get married. None of them. And then my family was just Dorothy. You know, well, and that's pretty good with 6 girls now. Hey, you know?
Well, that's okay.
Okay, now,
And you know what?
let me see now.
My sister, you know, married Phil Mance. His name was Mance. And,
Sister?
yeah, that's Dorothy. And her son's name is Ronnie. And you know that my mother and my dad, you know, oh, they were angry about it. And you know that my dad had, on Ronnie's name is Rich, it's not Mance. My dad adopted Ronnie.
Okay, now whatever happened to Ron?
Oh, he's in Pittsburgh. They've been to my home.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, that's Dorothy's son, see? And his wife's name is Lois, and she's a beautiful woman, beautiful. And their son's name is, they have 4 children, and their son's name is Ronnie. And he'll call me, hi, Auntie. He don't call me Grandma. Hi, Auntie. I am an aunt to him, you know. Sure. And but Ronnie does not look like a wretch. He's a man. And he's older than your sister. Ronnie was born before Pat was born. And that boy, his dad went to school with me. He was younger than Dorothy. You better get to sleep. I'm going to go to bed too. I'll tell you, Tom, I haven't, I'm by myself lately, And I dozed off to sleep the night Penny called the first night, And I went off to sleep. And then Penny called. I don't know, it was 1 or, whenever she got here with Randy, And she called me, to tell me. Well, that finished me that night, I just couldn't go back to sleep. So. I want to ask you, did I do all right going to see John?
Well, John feel about
Well, no, you know how I felt about it. I called him. The nurse said, Mrs. Lawler, you're his mother, She said, we don't do this, They're not, in those intensive care cardiac, they don't have a telephone. He had taken him to them. I said, oh, I didn't know you could talk. She said, no, this is different, So I said, John, and he said, I said, Mom, and he couldn't answer me. And I could tell by his voice, Layton, or Tom. Who she talking to? And you know what he told me? I said, I asked how he was, he told me what, and he told me the same thing the nurse had told me to say. And I said, John, I want to ask you something. I said, can I come to see you? And he said, Mom, I want you to. I want to see you. And I said, oh, I feel better, I come. And you know what he told me? He said, I want to tell you, I love you very much. I said, there's no question about that, because John is my son, And he said, are you coming? And then, see, I didn't know. I couldn't call down there until 8:15 late, like on the time that nurse taking care of John, see. And I had called Layton early, and they told me that they were going to come. So when I talked to the nurse, I thought, well, I'll go back and talk to Penny, and then you're coming up, she'll come. They were gone, see.
Where do I
Hey,
see?
Tom, I figured out, you've got Randy's bed.
Randy's bed?
Oh, Randy's going to go somebody else.
Yeah. You
Where's he
get,
gonna go?
how about Nathan's room? Do you mind?
I don't care.
There's twin beds in there. and
No,
I-
wait, where, they,
He's downstairs.
downstairs.
Yeah, because all the rooms are taken up.
Oh, that's all right. I don't want to take it,
Yeah.
You were not taking anybody's
On the
bed.
bed?
Nathan's got 2 beds in his room down.
Listen, I didn't want to bring any clothes, at home, and Patty and all of you. I said, no, I was going to come in shorts, And I thought, no, I'll put a dress on. And she said, aren't you going to take anything to sleep in,
You didn't bring a suitcase?
No, I didn't. Well, I'm going home tomorrow. Why should I have bothered a suitcase? I can go home with the same thing. I'm covered up. I ain't going to go home raw. Go to bed, Tom. Have you got an old nightgown or something I can put on? I know I might show my butt because it's short. You're a little than I am.
I'm thinking, I don't know. I'll look. I should have something.
What are you going to sleep in, boy? Tom?
Randy's
Boy.
bed.
No, I don't mean that.
Randy's bed.
Randy's bed?
No, I mean pajamas or shorts or what?
Did we do anything with Tom's suitcase?
Yeah. Randy took it down.
Oh, did he? Okay, good.
Randy took my suitcase.
Okay, so all you gotta do is take your body down there. You need some,
Push.
No, he took a pill, didn't he?
Yeah. Just be careful down there. There's strange things in Randy's. Like
Hey,
gloves with claws on them.
hey, tell me this place is haunted.
No, I'm telling you, Randy, he's strange.
Yeah, hey, listen, is it true that Randy walks in his sleep? Does he, Penny?
I don't know. We got him downstairs and we never hear it if he does. He probably
he
bumps
doesn't,
into a wall.
he doesn't anymore.
But he did, didn't
He
he?
did, oh
He
yeah.
told me
Randy
that.
used to walk and sleep a lot.
You know, I read in the paper, you know, people walking the street, there was a man in New York, and he got on the, out the window, on the ledge, 15 floors up. And they were scared to holler at him, you know, cause he let go, and they told him to turn around and come back in, and sleep.
Dan taught him in school. Kids that dove out the window up there on the colleges, and it was slippery rock.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Indiana, that's where it was.
And, you know, they don't even know that they do that, but they do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is it
I had a cousin one time, got up in the middle of the night, walked in, he sleep. You know how these beds had the foot up when they
We
went
went to the Akron
where it gets that foot on?
We stayed at the.
You got up on that and crowed like a rooster, and fell back asleep in the bed.
Yeah.
Now what-
NAACP.
Isn't that funny? Is that the brain, or, I don't know what to do that, that he knew what to do.
They just can't turn it off.
None.
My dad means National Association.
Well, now listen, a long time ago, when I had the kids say, I was so tired of doing this. But you know, when you get old, I know that, because I know, we're survivors back there, we all go through that. But you know, when you lay down, you want to go to sleep, but your mind doesn't, you know? And Dr. Brooks told me that was my trouble, so I couldn't relax. And he didn't want me to have a sleep. So you take that nap and
National
put your
Association
and you want to
for
go,
the Advancement
and you get up
of
next
Colored
morning, you
People.
feel like
That's
you're
what it
done. And you take the
Yeah.
next night, you're right on it.
National
He said, no, it's
Association
not
for
a
the
what kind of
Advancement of
sleep. He said, I'll give you a nerve pill and that'll relax your nerves and you go to sleep. And I run out of them. And when I went to Shan, I forgot to ask him. And you know what I did this morning? I went down to see Ed down there. And I told him about John. He said, you sure as heck look like it, you know, about John. You know, I didn't sleep. And he said, Bea, I'll give you. And he gave me the pill. He gave them to me. I didn't have to pay for them, you know. And they all know me down there. And I went out, you know. And he told me, did you sleep last night? I said, no, not the night before. He said, before you do anything, you had one this morning, you know. And I had one in the morning, you know. But that, it's a nerve, you know, a nerve pill, you know.
What do you want to do here?
You relax your nerves, you know, you go to sleep, you know,
What do you want to do?
and you get up good with it, you
In
know.
the shower, or
it
you want to
doesn't-
go to
doesn't-
bed?
I just
It
wanna-
isn't dope, there's no dope in it. What is that flashing out there?
Oh, that's at wind chime.
Oh, Bobby down.
Turns.
I wonder,
It does.
you know what I thought at first, I thought it was lightning.
Hold on.
No, I hope so too, you know, but,
Yeah, it's that wind chime, bottom on it, turns and it reflects.
but now, you know,
Look that up again.
hey, I got a bird feeder,
Keeps falling.
you know, and you put it in the top, you know, and I hung it, you know, and you know when the sun hits it, you know, the wind, you know. I thought, is there an automobile comes lights? I couldn't get it, and I looked out and it
You
just
wanna take
started,
this one? You take
you
your
know,
glass of water?
it's off again, you know, when the sun hits it.
You don't walk in your sleep. You sleep on her.
Unless I wanna.
But I said, what do you want that for? I said, well, birds in the winter, they have a hard time, you know, feeding, you know.
You don't see much activity outside in the wintertime.
And she said, you know what, I'll poop on your porch. I said, I ain't worried about the poop on, I'll take a bucket of water and throw it off. Don't look at me like that.
I'm just thinking about them birds.
Which birds?
I found out tonight, you didn't kill the bird, John did.
No,
The canary, he come in the house and made so much noise that the bird died of shock.
yeah.
Okay.
He told me,
Let's go to bed.
he told me,
Time to go to bed, Tom,
he
right?
thought he did. No, you didn't do it, it was John.
It's all set.
It's all set.
Hold on, go ahead.
And I didn't know nothing about it. Somebody told me that's what canaries are, you know.
Oh, yeah, they got
Yeah.
marked that.
Yeah, like a different noise. Hey, is your close stick to your
I
mouth?
didn't kill the canary.
No.
John did.
If you go to heaven, you'll have to tell God. If he says you did, you said, no, my mama said I did.
My mama says I didn't kill the canary.
No, it's John.
No, we cleared your name. We cleared your name.
Yeah. Now, see, you ought to be able to go to bed and sleep good.
Oh, he'll sleep well.
Because he knows. He knows. Don't you, Tom?
Clear conscience now.
Yeah, I know.
Go to bed, Tom. Sleep.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna ask you, when are you gonna hook you on the leg? Hey, you know, when Marvin up the street did what he did, I sent him a card. I said, hey, I said, you belong to the handicap. Oh, the poor guy. You know when that was, Penny? Harvest Festival, the day of the parade. And you know, his wife is right in front of him. I said, what you trying to do, Marvin? I said, get a little break. And she said, he wants to go to the parade, you know, and she went around the corner and come back with a wheelchair to take him up to the parade. You know what he had? He had one of those little scooters. And I'm sitting on the porch and they were there because the folks come around. I was watching them. And I looked up there and I saw Marvin Goode with a helmet on. And I thought, well, you know, he's with his wife. She's in charge of the parade. The first thing I didn't pay attention, I looked up, there was a rescue wagon up there. And you know, she is in on that for the demonstration.
Melanie's still out.
Yeah, you know, the demonstration, I thought, well, I know what that is. You know, they're up there and they're gonna, and first thing I looked, and here come 4 men with a stretcher. And I saw somebody with shorts on, or slacks. I didn't know it was his wife or his mother or who it was, because they hadn't turned. I thought, holy cats, I didn't know we were gonna have the demonstration. I didn't know it. That thing upset on him.
No kidding.
Yeah, and they had taken him down to emergency, and it wasn't a broken leg, all these ligaments in here.
Ooh,
And all that,
leg.
that's terrible, broken leg.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
know, I've seen his, and I know, there's a double out of it, you know. And you know that his daughter came down, she told me, his grandma said they had to take a doctor to take that in, kind of, you know.
Oh, those ligaments are bad.
Oh, that's what he said.
How old was it?
Well, now, I think Marvin, let's see here, his grandmother went to parish school, and then that's his daughter, her daughter, and her daughter, see. So I imagine Vicky, I think Vicky must be about 30.
No, I mean the guy that got the
I
bad
think,
ligaments.
yeah, I think he's about, he works out at Young Road at the time. I think he's about 30.
Oh, 30.
Yeah.
Well, that ain't too bad. He'll
No,
live out there. It'll take a while.
you know, the doctor told me that's where this.
Yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. That's,
And I said, with a cake. I looked up, I said, brother, hooray! He's like, I said, you belong to the handicap. You know, Tom and me.
yeah. Oh, yeah, they,
Two big jammies, I hope they'll fit.
Oh, my.
Hey, you didn't want me, did you?
No, I just don't want it. What do you got, Beatrice?
Huh?
What is that?
You know what? This is a sexy man on the key.
Oh, yeah, they should come in here, check you out.
One thing, where'd I put it? I had to find where I put it there.